Niger Delta Today. Well, let's pan our focus to the states of major discuss as of this morning. President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, citing prolonged political crisis, constitutional violations, and security threats. This follows the Supreme Court's ruling that the collapse of the state's legislature under Governor Siminalayi Fubara amounted to a breakdown of governance. As part of the emergency measures, Governor Fubara, the Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the Rivers State House of Assembly are suspended for an initial period of 6 months. Vice Admiral Boete Ibas, retired, has been appointed as the state administrator to oversee governance, while the judiciary remains unaffected. Let's take a listen to the president.
The circumstances, having soberly reflected on and evaluated the political situation in Rivers State, and the governor and deputy governor of Rivers State, having failed to make a request to me as president to issue this proclamation as required by Section 305, Paragraph 5 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do. By this declaration, the governor of Rivers State, Mr. Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, Mrs. Ngozi Odu, and all elected members of the House of Assembly State are hereby suspended for an initial period of 6 months.
Well, the president cited the demolition of the House of Assembly, failure to pass an appropriation bill, and recent militant activities, including pipeline vandalism, as key factors necessitating federal intervention. Security agencies have been directed to restore order and protect critical infrastructure.
The latest security report made available to me show that between yesterday and today, there have been disturbing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without governor taking any action to curtail them. I have, of course, given stand order to the security agencies to ensure safety of lives of good people of Rivers State and the oil pipelines. With all this and many more, no good and responsible president will stand by and allow the grave situation to continue without taking remedial steps prescribed by the Constitution to address the situation in the state, which no doubt requires extraordinary measures to restore good governance, peace, order, and security.
Well, immediately after the president's declaration, military vehicles were seen trooping into the state. This declaration has sparked conversations on the legality of the president's move. However, some have thumbs up the president's move to address the tensions, which many alleged is linked to the bombed facilities in the state, including the Trans-Niger pipeline operated by Shell in Bodo, Gokana local government area, another explosion in Ogma Wuriwa community, Ogba Egdemandoni local government area still in Rivers State. And some Ijaw youths had yesterday blocked the east-west road, calling on the Minister of the FCT to show support and solidarity for the suspended governor of Rivers State. Not just that, the Rivers State civil servant had earlier threatened to embark on a mass protest over the delayed salary payment. This conversation needs clarification. And we have in the studio a constitutional lawyer, Dr. Idni Achibo. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Welcome, viewers.
And also we have a legal practitioner, Barrister Theodore Williams. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And joining us virtually is the spokesman of Ijaw Youth Council, Bedford Benjamin. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I'll begin with you, Mr. Bedford. Concerning the allegations that has been made that most of the explosions are linked to Ijaw youths. What would you have to say with regards to that, especially recalling some of the threats that were thrown in from militants just some days ago or weeks ago after the meeting between the president and the PANDEF leaders in the Niger Delta region?
Well, thank you very much for that very powerful question. It's unfounded that the Ijaw people will be alleged to have blown up pipeline, whereas in recent history, the Buguma gas explosion that ravaged the entire community, that sent the community packing. There was no state of emergency that was called. It was due to equipment failure, and there are other several environmental genocidal activities that have taken place in recent history. It was not attributed to the job people. It was equipment failure. So how then can this explosion be attributed to the job people? We are saying, see, the issue of Rivers State is beyond the job people, is beyond the job nation. We are talking about a Rivers people that are, and democracy is basically for the people.
Mr. Bedford, before you continue, please, who confirmed that the explosion was as a result of system failure?
Before, the one that happened at Bukuma, it was system failure. Because there was no IPRO, there was no issue of vandalization, there was no statement of vandalization from people, the military, from any source. There was no position like that. It was NNPC. It was as a result of equipment failure. And I can tell you for free that the last for over 50 years, the equipment that have been used in the Niger Delta for the purpose of transporting crude oil are obsolete. There is no systemic maintenance.
Okay.
Over the years.
So you're emphatically stating that this explosion just happened to coincide with the threat that was issued by the Ijaw people.
It is not, it's inconsequential. The equipment that are being used in the Niger Delta for the last 50 years are obsolete. So you cannot attribute an explosion to Ijaw people. That is not correct.
Even after the threat that was made?
Sorry?
Even after the threat that was made?
There is no reason for explosion as of now. The River State is as peaceful. There's no reason for anybody to go and start blowing up pipelines.
Okay.
Because it's a political issue that is in River State.
Okay.
And it's not exclusive to Ijaw people. Because similarly, Fubara is not a governor for Ijaw people. He's a governor of River State. And the entire Rivers people have been galvanizing around him. And so you cannot attribute something that has not escalated to the breakdown of law and order. Just one incident by network, just one incident that we have not carried out a joint JIB to ascertain it was sabotage. There is no form of investigation done anywhere. There is no result that has proven that it is sabotage. So now for the President of the Federal Republic to state a state of emergency is unconstitutional, because there is no finding that has found any fact that there's no fact to say that the explosion of this is
I think he did that in good faith, just to make sure that it does not escalate beyond what we're saying now, just in case it is actually the Ijaw people that are perpetrating the act. Don't you think so?
Now, I want to point of correction. I want to tell you emphatically, the Rivers issue is not just a Ijaw nation. It is River State, and River State is multi-dimensional ethnic nationalities. The one that happened at Gokana, that Gokana is not a Ijaw territory.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up.
Why would you attribute an explosion to Ijaw nation to Ijaw people? That is unpowerful.
Okay. Thank you for clearing that up. Thank you so much.
Because we have not carried out any JID to prove that. So moving forward, the situation is getting tense. Unconstitutional removal of the governor of Rivers State. It is an issue.
Okay, Mr. Bedford. Mr. Bedford.
Yes, sir.
Please hold your thoughts there. We still have some gentlemen here in the studio. I would like to begin with Barrister Theodore Williams.
Yes.
Prior to the president's statement on the state of emergency, the different discussions has always been there should be a political solution. The president's statement, is that the political solution?
A political solution would not have been, Okay, I want to start by saying that the president's position is not a political solution to the problem, because the president categorically made reference to Section 305 of the Constitution. So it purely took a constitutional position to settle the problem. You see, a political solution would have been like what he attempted to do in the first instance, because I remember that there was a time that the president had called... Attempted, yes, because it failed. He attempted to, where he called for a truce between the minister of the FCT and the just ousted governor. And then I think there were conditions. The governor did come out to tell us that clearly that these were the conditions given to him and that he had obeyed those conditions, but the other parties did not obey the condition. And the president never came out to say, well, what, or the president or the president's spokespersons never came out to say, no, these conditions were not part of what was the terms of that meeting. So the political solution would have been the president calling them back and say, okay, if A had obeyed our terms, Mr. B, why didn't you obey our terms? Okay, going forward, what do we do and how do we settle this? So it will be convenient for both A and B to obey whatever is the terms of settlement. So the president's position is not a political solution to the problem, but it is unfortunately a constitutional position that has a tendency, as we are seeing now, is helping to, rather than diffuse the tension, is increasing the tension in Rivers State.
Okay, I would ask Barrister, the constitutional lawyer, let me understand, because the question is, does the president have such constitutional right to suspend the democratically elected governor and lawmakers? Does he have such rights?
Thank you very much. By Section 305 of the Constitution, the president has indeed powers to declare a state of emergency in certain well-defined circumstances, including the actual breakdown of law and order or the imminence of it. However, nowhere in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria does the president or any other creature have power to remove a democratically elected governor of a state. Don't forget that both the president and the governor were elected by the electorate, different electorates, who said, this is our governor. And I have scored through the Constitution and I haven't found a place where the president has power to remove a governor. A governor can be removed by Section 188 of the Constitution through a process of impeachment.
Okay.
And the fact that that impeachment was started, but suffered a failure, means that this state of emergency declared by the president is part of a progression. It is part of a plan to actually remove the governor. So when they first failed or had no hope of success, the president now resorted to what was more convenient.
Okay, now speaking about the state of emergency, now some legal practitioners are of the school of thought that the governor, neither the governor nor the House of Assembly members called for the state of emergency. Does that water down the credence of this state of emergency in any way?
Well, no, that would not water it down. Okay. But in a sense, every action taken by the leadership of a country should have the imprimatur or the toga of legitimacy attached to it. And that legitimacy comes from the acceptance of the people of the decision that has been taken. And that kind of legitimacy comes from consultation, from speaking to different people, talking about it, and it coming to the forefront of national discourse. And then finally, the president saying, okay, enough is enough, let me take this action. But how come that in this particular situation, within 2 days of a bomb exploding in somewhere in Rivers State, and the president, by his admission, saying that he has deployed the military to quell it, he says so himself, and to ensure that the people are safe. Why was there a need, on the basis of that same set of circumstances, to go ahead and declare a state of emergency and then to remove an elected governor of the state when you had solved the problem by your own admission?
Okay, I'd like to ask Barrister Theodore. what exactly does state of emergency mean? And is it quite different from suspending a governor, or are they one and the same thing?
Okay, a state of emergency, as envisaged with by the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended, is an instrument of power given to the president where there has been a likelihood of breakdown of law and order. Maybe there could be a natural disaster, or if the Nigerian state was about to go to war. You know, the Constitution spells out the conditions and the situations that must exist for a state of emergency to take place. Now, the question will be, has any of those conditions stipulated in Section 305, subsection 3, taken place in Rivers State? Has any? Now, if the president is saying that there has been, like my learned friend has also said earlier, that a bomb exploded two days ago, it is not uncommon for us to have bomb explosions or oil pipes explosions in the Niger Delta. I mean, it's things that have happened from 1990, from days back. I mean, many years ago. So how do you now tie, like Mr. Bedford had said, now that there is no evidence to link that bomb explosion, that pipeline explosion, to the statement of the Ijaw Youth Council?
Okay.
There is no evidence. Now, the president himself also said that he has sent the military to quell the situation. That is to say that the situation is under control.
Exactly.
So as we speak, there is no condition as stipulated in Section 305(3) that has happened in Rivers State to warrant a state of emergency.
Okay.
Now, suspension of a governor, this is where constitutional lawyers and lawyers keep saying that there is a need for us to constantly review the Constitution of Nigeria. Because a state of emergency, there is nowhere in that Constitution, in the whole of that, the entire gamut, where the president is empowered to remove a governor. So when you declare a state of emergency, the Constitution did not tell you what to do with the government structure. Okay? So the president now would say, okay, under the doctrine of necessity, he has suspended. But declaring a state of emergency does not mean that the governor has to be removed. The governor can still sit as a governor, and only that his powers will be whittled. Okay? Because he will now be reporting straight to the presidency.
True.
You could have done that. You could have done that. The House of Assembly will be standing, will still be there, and whatever resolution the House of Assembly will pass will be subject to ratification by the president. But the House of Assembly will be in place and the governor will be in place. But the action of the president is undemocratic. It is like, it appears that there has been a program of events. And when this one when there was no hope, like my friend said, there was no likelihood that the impeachment drama, the script will play. They now resorted to, okay, let me even say this without sounding, okay, let me even say this. Supposing that the explosion talked about is sponsored by the state. In the state now, we mean people who have the capacity to do that.
To pull that off.
We have had instances where there have been several parts of Nigeria. The Constitution of Nigeria says no part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be governed in any manner or way other than as provided for by this Constitution. Okay. We have had instances where regions in this country in the last 20 years have been governed and ruled and run by terrorists, by herdsmen, and no emergencies were declared. We have seen a serving governor in Nigeria standing with terrorists with AK-47 behind them. Live pictures, and nobody declared a state of emergency in those places. Okay. So what is the basis? People are digging or mining some very precious stones in some parts of northwestern Nigeria. No state of emergency. People are being killed every day in those regions. How many people have been killed in Rivers State in the last? We're not saying that people should be killed. We're not excusing it, but we are saying that if whatever is good, whatever is source for the good should be source for the gander.
Okay, let me ask this question. This whole president's declaration, I think the constitutional lawyer should answer that. What has this done to our principle of federalism and also the structure of state autonomy?
Thank you very much. You know, federalism is a system that recognizes that the federating units, in this case the states, come together to collectively give some form of central power to the central government. And the central government then is not a dictator of what happens within the states.
Okay.
It's just like a coordinator, some kind of convener of, so it kind of brings things, together. So the president shouldn't have the power, and the Constitution does not give him that power to remove a governor. Now, when I look at the events that have presaged this, that have come before this, I become very saddened. So if I speak a little bit with some force, it's because of, this concourse of events that have taken place before this so-called proclamation. I watched a statement that and by the way, I'm not a member of any political party in this country, that the headquarters of the PDP had been shot at by none other than one of the disputants in this dispute, who happens to be the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. That was the 18th of March. And then 1 or 2 days after, suddenly a governor in the state where this Federal Capital City minister, comes from, is also removed unnecessarily by a state of emergency proclamation that shouldn't have happened. So when you put all of these together, you then can perhaps imagine a situation in which parties other than those in power are being subtly, removed, whittled down, destroyed, so that the forces on the other side can take over. And that for me is extremely sad.
Okay.
And it's an abnegation of the federal system that we run.
Okay, I'd like to put this question to Mr. Bedford. Mr. Bedford, you're still here with us? Hello,
I'm
Mr.
here with you, yeah.
Okay. Just some weeks ago, when the whole political drama, I can hear you. Just some weeks ago, when the whole political drama in Rivers State had taken a new turn, with the governor making attempts to reach out to the House of Assembly, and the House of Assembly on the other side having their own say, some persons had made a call that the president should declare a state of emergency in Rivers State. But today, the president has, and the same president faces backlash. What exactly do the people want?
Is that question for me?
Yes, indeed.
All right. Sorry, can you come again? I didn't quite get the question, please.
I had mentioned prior to the president's statement, there were a number of activities in Rivers State which amounted to so many calls and conversations. And the governor, his attempts to reach out to the House of Assembly on their own stance. And so many persons in Rivers and out of Rivers had made a call to the president to declare a state of emergency to restore peace and order in Rivers State. The same president heeded to the call and has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. But today, the president faces backlash. What exactly do the people want? Mr. Bedford, can you hear me?
Locus. I can hear you. Who has the locus to write to the president on issue of state of emergency? The man that is at the end of affairs, who is the governor of the state, it is prerogative, constitutional prerogative, to write to Mr. President if there is any form of break of law and order. But as it were, there was no break of law and order. There was no break of law and order. It was an understanding, and it's political misunderstanding that has not escalated to any form of violence. So the government was within his limits. He said these things I will implement to the latter. Who was those set of persons that called on Mr. President? Which date was the publication made that they called on Mr. President to declare a state of emergency? There was no call of such. How are we sure that it was not the pro-Wike people that went to blow up that pipeline to raise unnecessary attention, to not say there's a cause for action?
That's an allegation.
Yes, so we came to an injured territory. Hello?
Yeah, stating that that's an allegation.
Yes, who knows? Because nobody can ask, it's allegedly. Who knows? Because of course they are desperate. The other time he came to Abalama to enjoy territory, and the people said, come. For the selfishly, for whatever reasons, he went to Abalama, they tear gas our women. It was women that protested. They tear gas women, injured series of women. And averted that level. Our father, as a war, he withdrew all his form of non-conventional security, not to cause any form of chaos, because that was what was intended for the visit. And we averted that level of casualty. After 2 days after, a state of emergency is declared. And the state of emergency that declared, the document that the president read is premeditated. You can say for allegedly premeditated. It was designed before time. And now look at the person that was now giving the sample of as a is an ally of Mr. Wike. So what the handwriting is very, very clear. The people are the owners of democracy. The people have the civil right, the democratic, the constitutional right to choose whoever will lead them. And they choose whoever will support them. So the people are the center of the power of democracy, except they are saying that Nigeria no longer practice democracy as democracy. Except there is another form of government. Is it unitary government that we are practicing in Nigeria? Who knows? Because whatsoever that has happened in River State, it uncalled for a state of emergency to be declared.
Okay, Mr. Bedford, before we let you go, I want to ask you this one question. Now, the allegation that the Ijaw people are behind the bombing is there, but without any punitive measure. So it's not like there's any punishment coming to or tagged with this allegation. So what next would you advise your people to do? Because this whole thing now boils down to a statement that was made in solidarity with the governor. So what would you advise them to do now that there is no punishment or any punitive measures being meted out on you people?
Sorry, the only umbrella that is saddled with the responsibility to make statements in regards to the Ijaw nation is the Ijaw National Congress and the Ijaw Youth Council.
Okay.
There was no such statement that was presented from the Ijaw Youth Council. So you can as well, it could be that pro-Wike personalities came together and made that video and sponsored by is allegedly sponsored by Wike. It is possible. Because the only people that are starting with the responsibility to say we are going for a protest is the Ijaw Youth Council. And the only one that we allowed was the protest at the East West Road in solidarity. That was not violent. So we have not taken any violent measures. It is alien to us. To the best of our knowledge, it is pro-Wike people that have gone to vandalize pipeline, allegedly. It is not Ijaw people that have gone to vandalize pipeline. That is a statement of fact. I can tell you for fact that the Ijaw nation has not ordered any form of bomb blasting. It has not happened. That is not true. But if this issue is left unattended to, with an if illegality is allowed to stand, any illegal action becomes lawful, becomes legal.
Okay, Mr.
Because
Bedford.
illegality can only be addressed by illegality.
Mr. Bedford, what do you suggest should be done to quell the crisis in Rivers?
The first thing that must be done is to revert the decree by Mr. President. He should go back and talk to his Attorney General. Let them tell him what happened. Let them tell him the T's and the I's. Because it is unconstitutional. Anything that is unconstitutional must be reversed. So our governor must be back on the saddle. There is no cause for any form of so that is the first that the presidency must take. That is the first thing that must be done. Reverse your decision on state of emergency or in River State.
Okay.
Then we can take the next step, because there is nothing that can be done without dialogue. Dialogue is the instrument for engineering peace, not state of emergency.
Indeed.
Not monologue.
All right, then. We also have Dr. Iniachibon. What do you think should be done in this situation? You said it is unconstitutional for the governor to be removed and the lawmakers. What should be done? I think this was done to quell the crisis, but what should be done now?
Thank you very much. Mr. Bedford has made a number of very interesting, propositions. And one of the things that he has alluded to is the fact that the governor has the prerogative to propose a state of emergency and didn't do so. Now, I ask the question, supposing the governor had been the one to have proposed the state of emergency, would he have also suggested, when you make the state of emergency, please remove me?
Okay.
So it now shows you that a state of emergency can be easily declared without removing the governor or his deputy or elected, public office holders. This is something, it's so atrocious. The second way of maybe drawing back this whole thing is, the National Assembly has power to approve of the state of emergency that has been declared. And they have 2 days after that declaration to do so. And the word used by the Constitution is approval.
Okay.
Now, supposing the National Assembly meets, as it must be doing right now, and says, okay, we approve the emergency, but on the question of removal of the governor, we do not approve it. That is one way that you can, people can meet each other halfway, so that the progress of dialogue, can proceed, and then we can begin to solve the situation. Because don't forget, it's not just about winning states and taking power. It's also about, do the people really like you? Do they want you? And therefore, is your government legitimate? And this message, I think, goes to the president and all of those who are involved in this needless fight.
Okay, I have a question for Barrister Theodore. Now, a lot of people are also concerned with the fact that retired Vice Admiral Ibokete is now the administrator of the state. Is that constitutionally right in a democratic government?
Well, the Constitution did not in any of its in the letters of the Constitution of Nigeria, it does not specify who is qualified to be appointed a sole administrator.
Okay.
The Constitution does not even make provision for the appointment of a sole administrator.
Exactly.
In other words, the intent of the Constitution was that a state of emergency can be declared without the governor being removed.
Okay.
It's clear. The law is that what is expressed is what is intended. What is not expressed is not what is intended. That's the law. So where the law says that there can be a state of emergency and goes on to state the conditions and the processes that can be followed to declare state of emergency, and it does not include the removal of a governor. In it does not make provision for appointment of a person as a sole administrator. So the entire thing is turning the Constitution upside down. Okay, now the appointment of a retired military officer as a sole administrator, it baffles me, because I'm wondering why we will appoint, I didn't know, seasoned permanent secretaries if we must appoint a sole administrator. People are versed and vested with government administration. I didn't know seasoned administrators who in the whole of Nigeria that could have been appointed. Why give the impression to the military boys that we cannot survive or cannot run a democracy without them? Because immediately a sole administrator was appointed, the next thing was that like the video you showed, we saw soldiers moving into armored tanks, taking over. You have militarized the entire state in the name of following a constitutional provision. The constitutional provision that does not give you the power to appoint a sole administrator. The language sole administrator is strange to the law. And the president in his speech did say that there were constitutional provisions, there was a judgment of the Supreme Court. Now, is there any provisions in that judgment, or is there any statement in that judgment where it stated that if the governor and the House of Assembly fail to reconcile, a sole administrator must be appointed? The governor said he's going to implement the constitution, the judgment of the court, and he took steps. Yeah. He approached the House of Assembly. Yeah. The House of Assembly did not give the governor audience.
Okay. But the House of Assembly also stated that the governor didn't send them official correspondence.
Okay, Mr. President did say that the governor demolished the House of Assembly. Now, prior to that, the Rivers State House of Assembly has actually sat and gave the governor of Rivers State 48 hours ultimatum to present the budget.
In the name of they'll be going for recess.
Where did they sit? if the house, if the house was demolished.
Makeshift
The House of
complex.
Assembly also sat to amend the constitution of the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. Where did they sit? So you see, like my learned friend had said, it appears that this is a pre-calculated. You know, Chinua Achebe said in his book Things Fall Apart that those who have those whom the gods have probably cracked their kernels for them, think the rest of us are lazy. I mean, because they are in government does not mean that the rest of us are dumb.
Okay, let's take some social media reactions with regards to this particular issue, especially the state of emergency.
Okay, this is coming from Blessing G. It says, if Fubara had the strength and strategy, he would have taken full control, suspending all opposing assembly members and asserting his authority in the state. This situation only exposes his weakness in handling power. Wow, that's serious.
Minister says the president of Nigeria does not have unilateral power to suspend democratically elected governor of Rivers State. State of emergency provision section 305 of the Constitution does not grant that power. Okay.
From King FX says the powers conferred on the president to declare a state of emergency in any state in Nigeria doesn't mean a punitive measure towards a state government that's unable to handle a chaotic situation. It's a way of the Constitution empowering the president as the father of the nation to assist any state government in handling chaotic situations that have overwhelmed the governor and his administration.
Exactly.
Okay, this is from Udio Mine Sikira. Fighting disorderliness and chaos in the country is a shared duty between all tiers of government. Wow, this is something else. Well, those are some of the social media reactions, and this matter, I don't know how this will pan out, but what do you look forward to in the coming days?
Well, I've gotten to the point where good news nowadays is it doesn't come from the platform of government. It comes from individuals who are struggling to eke out a living, who are doing new inventions, who are breaking new grounds in business, in manufacturing, in industry. People who are building refineries, people who are manufacturing stuff. I don't expect any good news from a government of these people, to be frank. And that's why I speak less often these days. However, I expect that because of the widespread...
You hope, because you say you don't expect any good news.
Oh.
So you hope, sir.
I hope.
Yes.
Thank you very much, my brother.
You hope.
I hope
Yes.
that in the coming days, and because of the unpopularity of this emergency and and all the other subsidiary orders that have been made, that they will be rolled back, that the National Assembly, which now has the power to either not approve or even to roll back some of these more unfavorable decisions, can do so. For example, they can say, Mr. President, we are not approving this state of emergency, or we approve it, but all the elected officers must come back and work their way through dialogue to resolving the issue in a more permanent fashion.
Maybe with a warning.
And I think, why would you suspend every other person and not suspend Wike, for Christ's sake? This guy is at the head of the trouble, of the problem. And you're suspending a governor, you're suspending members of the State House of Assembly. Why in the world would you not suspend your minister, that you can do quite easily?
He's not resigning
Because
from River State.
No, it doesn't matter, but his hand is in every pie. You know, we can see his handwriting on every wall. So you have to be even-handed as president of a country or as governor of a state.
All right, Barrister Theodore.
Yes. Do I expect something to happen? Well, my learned friend has said it. I think this is, for me, this gives the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria an opportunity to assert their independence.
Exactly.
This is it.
Okay.
This is the threshold. They have to, because from all indications, we are very senior lawyers in the National Assembly as senators and as House members. they need to sit down and look at critically the provisions of Section 305. All right, there are only 6 subparagraphs, 6 subsections from 305, 1 to 6. Let them look at it clearly. Is there any place in that constitutional provision that empowers the president to suspend a sitting governor, an elected governor, and suspend the House of Assembly?
Okay.
This is a call to national service for the National Assembly.
Okay, Mr. Bradford, what do you look forward to seeing in the coming days, just in split seconds?
Well, this is a litmus test, like every other speaker has spoken, is a litmus test for the National Assembly to prove that they are not rubber stamped, as speculated, before time. Yes. This is a time where the speaker, the senator, the Senate president, the speaker, and every member of the National Assembly should stand and protect and defend democracy.
All right, thank you.
Anything that is not constitutional must not be allowed.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming on the show and sharing your insights with us.
Thank you so much.
And with that, that's where we'll draw the curtains for today's edition of the program. It's been a great time. To join us again tomorrow for another interesting package. I am Jennifer Pius.
And I am Averus Wogene Ebo. Do enjoy the rest of our programming. Bye.